Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the news here on Hilaal TV. We thank you so much for joining us. Now, we are starting a bit early as we have a special guest online to talk about the Freedom Flotilla that is happening out of Turkey. And of course, we've seen a coalition of human rights advocates arriving in Istanbul as they prepare to set sail to Gaza on a civilian flotilla carrying urgently needed food and medicine. Hundreds will participate in the humanitarian aid mission. The Freedom Flotilla is expected to sail later this month. Now, joining us is our very own South African advocate, Advocate Nadeem Mahomed. Advocate Nadeem, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and shukran so much for joining us.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. For us, it's attorney Nadeem Mahomed, not advocate, but jazakallah khairan for the compliment.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Attorney, let's talk about this Freedom Flotilla, because I think it's quite important for us to talk about its significance and how important it is for this to go through. We're going to touch on the challenges in a bit, but let's talk about the importance of this.
So certainly, jazakallah khair for having me again, once again. For us, and I don't know how much time we have, but the issues that we need to deal with, and I think it's the area. But let me just give you a very small background of what the flotilla is, and just for the guests, for the viewers. So the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, which is the FFC 2024, they are a coalition of various human rights organizations who, in as early as 2006, decided that it was imperative in order 2009, it was imperative in order to break the blockade and break the siege that Israel had on the occupied territories by sending a fully, exclusively humanitarian mission of aid, medical and food supplies, as well as civilians on a barge to Israel, to Palestine, in order to deliver this aid. The flotilla mission was small. If I can remember the history correctly, 2008 and then 2009, and then you remember the Mavi Marmara, which our very own advocate Shibna Mayat was intimately involved with, and then what transpired on the Mavi Marmara. And we also had a South African citizen that was on there. She was represented by a very close friend of ours, Ziad Patel, also an attorney from South Africa, and she was successful in her claim against Israel. And I'll touch on what actually transpired in the Mavi Marmara when I get on to what we're anticipating now. But really, in short, that is what it is. It's 5,500 tons of medical and food supplies. There are 3 ships, 2 of which will be carrying supplies, and 1 of which will be carrying in excess of 360 passengers, civilian passengers, non-military, non-armed passengers from around the world. And they will, over a period of 14 days, give or take, will attempt to access into Gaza, the West Bank, and through and Rafah, in an effort to provide this aid to the Palestinians who are absolutely starving and absolutely in need of this aid.
Nadeem, the challenges, because you and I have been speaking now for the last few days about, the challenges that are occurring. Obviously, you've got the Israelis who want to kind of cut out any supposed aid that's going to be coming. They would be, from their point of view, they're seeing this as a threat to whatever military operation or assault that they're doing on Gaza. But then there's, of course, the other side of it where this has to be delivered, but it's going to be delivered at a really difficult pace. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about how this challenge is being presented to yourselves as a group of activists and lawyers who want to make sure that the people of Gaza get what they deserve, and that's none other than the humanitarian aid.
Excellent. For us, it's a great question, and thank you for asking it. I am in Istanbul at the moment on in a global legal convention on the creating or strengthening and protecting the rights of Palestinians and re-entrenching the rights of Palestinians for protection and the prevention against genocide and war crimes. It's actually called the War Crimes Convention. So in essence, we were invited as an organization. Myself and Shibna Mayat, who is also an advocate in South Africa, were invited to Istanbul for this convention in an effort to show the other members of the alliance. The convention was organized by Wallace, which is the World Lawyers Association, which is stationed in Istanbul. They're fully humanitarian organization of lawyers and activists. It's also co-coordinated by the PAL Law Commission, which is Palestinian Law Commission, a lady by the name of Lamis Deek, and she is a Palestinian living in New York, an absolutely brilliant mastermind who is incredible in her effectiveness of protecting the rights and furthering the rights and the interests of Palestinians, and also fighting against the enemy, which is quite simply the Zionist organization. Now, what transpired when this conference started, and just so happened that the conference was arranged, the convention was arranged at the same time that the flotilla was scheduled to depart. Now, the flotilla is scheduled to depart on the 24th of April, but there are some substantial challenges. So it looks as though it's going to be delayed by almost 14 days. Now, I'm not going to get into the red tape, unfortunately, because I am broadcasting from Istanbul, and we know that there are some particular issues which we need to deal with in a little bit more of a sensitive manner. But I don't know if you've ever heard of the phrase, the canary in coal mine. So in essence, this is exactly what this conference was. It was the canary in the coal mine. And this is how we got wind of the fact that Israel has notified through certain sources, through Al Jazeera, that they are training their military for purposes of interception and raid on the Freedom Flotilla. They also say, and they go further in their arrogance to say, that we are aware that it is a fully humanitarian mission carrying food and medical aid and civilian passengers, but we are training to intercept and raid the flotilla. Now, I don't know if you're aware, but the passengers of the flotilla were required prior to entry onto the manifest as a passenger to the flotilla. They were required to record a self-video saying, my name is so-and-so. I am a citizen of such and such country. I departed on the flotilla on 24 April 2024. I have been detained. If you are seeing this video, please know that I am detained against my will, without my rights being protected by the Israeli government. I most likely will be tortured. I most likely will be arbitrarily detained. I seek my government to assist me. I seek my government to intervene. So these were videos that every passenger had to make. And these were then stored in an archive with the organizers of the flotilla, which is a huge coalition of organizations. Not for the if, but for the when Israel attacks. So understand, again, what I'm saying to you. It is a fully humanitarian, civilian mission carrying food and medical supplies with the single solitary aim of aiding the Palestinians who are starving and dying.
Nadeem,
this conference and this convention has revealed so much.
Nadeem, Mav, I have to cut you there. I need to fit in just this one question, and we only got about 1.5 minutes. Of course, through your legal expertise, there, of course, politics and governments that come into play. You, of course, got, the Egyptian part of things. Would they allow this to happen on their seas? You are crossing international waters. You are crossing the Mediterranean Sea, where Gaza is going to be. From a legal perspective, if you can just sum it up for us in just over a minute, how does the governments of that are going to be part of this or playing a role in this flotilla arriving in Gaza going to play that role? Could you maybe just expand on that for us in just a minute, please?
Excellent. Thank you very much. 60 seconds. This is the maritime law. This is the international law of the sea. It's the Rome Statute and the Geneva Convention. All the states who have passengers on the barge, as well as whose seas you will traverse, are members of these conventions and these laws, and they subscribe to these acts and to these statutes. It is non-armed, non-combatant, third party, non-aiding entity which is traversing those waters into a war zone with a single solitary mission of providing aid. They are 100% compliant with the maritime and international laws of the sea. So all the countries who they are aware of already that they will enter or go past or traverse through understand that they are in compliance with those laws. And in saying that, Israel still intends to illegally and unlawfully enter, raid, and arbitrarily detain those individuals. And we have notified the United Nations organization. We've notified the working group on arbitrary detention. We've notified the special rapporteur on torture and war crimes. And they've already been notified that if this happens, they are required in terms of the UN Security Council laws to take action against Israel.
And that would obviously further, add to the ICJ case against Israel. Nadeem, shukran so much for joining us here. We'll definitely speak to you in the week. Of course, should there be any progress, you did mention 2 weeks, so we will definitely keep in touch with it. You take care. Jazakallah so much for joining us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That's our very own Nadeem Mahomed, attorney at law here in South Africa, of course, talking to us about the Freedom Flotilla. After the break, I'll have your latest in news, finance, and sport. Do stay tuned to the news here on Hilaal TV.